Hello my quilting family. We're here with another installment of the Friendship Star, and today we're going to cover disappearing or slashed blocks. So this is the Friendship Star we're looking at. This is what the disappearing or friendship star or a slashed star would look like. So we're going to take this block, and you'll notice it's just a tad bigger. Just a tad, because we're putting extra seams in, bigger, to make this measure 24.5 square. Now, I'm going to put the cutting instructions for this bigger, a little bit bigger square in the show notes below. So, if you want to try it this, just so I'm putting in these instructions in the show notes below so that you can make this, and when it's all sewn together, it'll measure 24.5 inches. If you take this block, the 12.5 inch one, and slash it and cut it, it's going to be short. It's not going to be wide enough or big enough because you've cut it and now you've added an extra seam. So you're going to be like half an inch short. But it does provide a cool focal point for the quilt. And I love the little old-fashioned pinwheel that shows up. So let's get started with this. I'll show you how to cut this larger block, the slightly larger block, and how to sew all of that together. Okay, you can see here now I've got my oversized Friendship Star down on the cutting mat. Now, what I'm going to do, there's a sew line right here that we're going to cut along, and I have cut the square I was showing you an inch and a half away from this sewn line. So I'm going to start here like so, and I'm just going to shuffle my, okay, and I'm just going to shuffle it along. Now I have to turn it, but I have to turn it so it'll all fit on the block, and there we go. Because I'm cutting this into a wonky, uneven 4-patch. So I'm just lining up my seam line here with the other seam lines behind. And okay, our neighbor is our neighbor's doing construction in his backyard. He's going to be very beautiful when he's done. So if you hear some chainsaw cutting noises from our taping, that's pretty much where we're at. So here we are. So I've got a little square. And two longer pieces. And I've got this big square. Let me show you how we're going to lay this out. Okay. I'll move out all of this stuff here and get rid of my cutting mat. Okay. And we're just going to put these to the side for now because we're just going to deal with the bigger square. Now I have pieces, 4 other blocks already cut, ready to go. And just get all the little pieces up here. My grandson Charlie picked out this fabric. I think it's adorable. So we're going to lay that one there, and we're going to lay this one here and lay this one here. Now we could point these into the middle as well, and what would happen is we'd get an oversized pinwheel instead of that really cute little pinwheel. You decide which effect you like best, because here is a much larger, it would effectively be a much larger pinwheel when you're done. So I like the cute little one, so I'm going to leave it like this. But it's your quilt, your rules, you decide how you're going to sew this together. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to flip these over like we would reading a page in a book. And I have the wrong foot on. Okay, well, that's all right. Doesn't take that long to find the other foot. These old machines, they sew so nicely. Okay, and we're just going to line that up. Okay, now this is a pretty forgiving sew because there's no seams you have to match except for this one right here. So you just hold it in place, and then the rest of it just slides on through. And now you sew the other one. It's like an oversized, it's like sewing an oversized 4-patch is what it is. So I'm lining up to make sure I meet my one seam that I gotta meet. I don't want seams flipping. Okay. They're beautiful. These are always make a beautiful focal block in a quilt. Very interesting. It's like when we were studying earlier, like the large scale block that we would make. This is the same idea. It creates a focus. Okay. And then we can build around it. Okay. Now, okay. There we go with our one matching seam. And next seam, everything is lining up nicely. Okay. Now, where the intersections cross, this is where you want to put one. You want the one on the bottom, that seam gets flipped that way, and the one on top, the seam gets flipped towards you. Right? And that creates a nice little nested seam. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to decide which fabric goes where. Because on the outside of this, right, is where you're going to put the pieces you cut off. Right? So I don't want the dinosaur touching the dinosaur. So I'm going to put the dinosaur somewhere else. Right? So I want the dinosaur, let's say, up here, I guess. Yeah, up here. So basically we're going to assemble this so that the dinosaur doesn't end up near its block, right? The little dinosaur guy doesn't end up touching this area. So we want to put other pieces up there. Oh, okay. Oh, that's the same. I don't want that up there. I want it up here. And I want this here. And I want that here. And this can go up here. Now, I'm going to point my triangles to the outside, because then I don't have to worry about cutting off a point or trimming a point if my block is too large. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take two and sew them together. Take another two and sew them together, and I want the points outside. Here we go. And there we go. Now, when all the points go in the same direction, we should be good, right? Two of these blocks, however, will need the little end blocks, the little end squares that we cut off. So, you would sew them onto both sides. Now what we're going to do is we're going to sew this on first. The only place that's going to match up that you need to worry about is in the center of the 4-patch and at that first intersection here. It's going to match, so you want to nest that seam as best you can. And there's another seam right here. want to nest that seam right there. Now we're also trying to make points, but you know, it's kind of one of those situations. Well, if you're, as long as you're not cutting off your points, it's all good. Now I'm going to take one of these and put a square on both sides. And if you had more contrast between your whites, it would be interesting effect to have, you know, higher contrast pieces on the end. But it all is kind of that mottled look. So there. So now we sew directly the opposite side. And we're going to make sure that, oops, oh, that's the wrong one. I'm going to sew these wrong yet. I just know it. Okay, so we're going to sew this one. And now I'm just going to cut this off so I don't have to go digging for it later. And it really doesn't matter if they touch. I mean, it's whatever rule you want to create to make your quilt work for you. And they are your quilts. And it's kind of taking ownership of the design process. You know, you can make whatever decisions you would like on your quilt. And that's why quilting is fun. And if you mess up, you can also say, well, it was a design choice. So that works too. Basically these triangle shapes, they will float randomly around the outside of the block. Or you can make them nest with other triangle shapes if you'd like. Okay, let's get this one. Oops, let's get this one sewn here. And that one's sewn here. There we go. Yeah, you take a perfectly sized piece of fabric. Now all I do is I finger press just the edge, right, to get it flat enough to sew together, because that will speed, and then I'll take it to the iron once we're all done. But this one's going to be cute. It's all flowers and geometrics, and there's a dinosaur running around. It'll be wonderful. And I have to sew it on this side. Okay, there we go. Here. So, here we go. So now I'm sewing on the last side pieces. The only one we match there now is this. This block gets really big really fast. With very little effort. Here we go. You can cut your block wherever you would like to cut it. I'm cutting it because it's at 1.5 inches away from the one seam. If you find you don't like that look, or you want to put it on a diagonal, I mean, that's fine too. Those are all possibilities. I will caution you about a diagonal cut. It will, you'll be sewing everything then on a bias, so. And sometimes blocks stretch. Now a shape, and here we go, right hot off the press. And we're done. Ta-da! So, there's our block. I didn't even have time to iron it. I was so excited to show you this block. Now this is our scrappy version of this slashed block. Now if you don't have enough fabric in your stash to make it all the same background or all the same blue or whatever color you choose for this, you could go scrappy like this, or you could even go scrappier, right? I mean, and have every little piece a different blue and every white a different little low volume or whatever you're using. So this works out really well. So here, we'll get a cameraman to show you a little closer. We have that adorable little old-fashioned pinwheel in the middle. And the friendship stars kind of make a unique pinwheel on the outside. As they go, it looks like they're all kind of joined together and swirling around. So, I hope my grandson recognizes the dinosaur fabric and he's not too upset I'm giving it to another child. Remember, all these blocks, they go to a charity, and we'll name the charity as we get closer to the end, but this is where we're at. This is where we're at. So I hope you have fun trying this. And like I say, you can move that line. I picked 1.5 inches because, yeah, okay, it kind of works. But if you want to go bigger or smaller, whatever, it's your quilt, your rules. There's no quilt police. So I'm hoping you try this and have fun with it. Okay, I can't hardly wait to see you until next week. Okay, you have a great day. Bye! If you have questions about what you saw in this video, or you have ideas for content or something you want to see us do, please put those comments in the description below. But also, while you're there, like, share, and subscribe with your friends. That would really help us out. Okay, I want to thank you and have a great day.